Before we dive into the blood-soaked madness of this 88 film slasher classic collection review, a quick heads up for listeners and viewers alike. These episodes come straight from the podcast Under the Stairs archives, recorded before the launch of the YouTube channel and long before video podcasts became part of the show. These reviews were originally crafted purely for audio. So if the production feels a little rougher around the edges or a little more stripped back than current episodes, that's because you're hearing the show in its earlier form, raw, passionate, and let's be honest, a little waffly at times. Whether you're revisiting these reviews or discovering them for the first time, please sit back and relax and enjoy this trip through the golden age of mass killers, inventive gore, and VH era nightmares. This podcast is not safe for work and will feature movie spoilers. It will feature scenes described of a graphic nature. It will contain language which most listeners may find offensive. Welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. Hi everyone and welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. This is your Sunday 88 Films Slasher Classic Collection series of reviews. I'm your host Duncan. Welcome to the show. That's right, we are swinging into disc number 18 of the collection. This is the second and final of our Sleepaway camp movies. Now once again, they didn't get the whole franchise, they just got the middle two. So 3 weeks ago we did part 2 and this week we're doing part 3, Teenage Wasteland. That review coming right up right after the break. As always, let's just do some housekeeping right at the start of this episode. I want to thank everyone who has been checking out the Bazaween episodes. Huge amount of buzz about them, not only in the Flick Chat app but on Facebook. Tons of comments coming through, you guys digging those, and do not fear, another one drops tomorrow when you get Baz taking on a little movie called Rosemary's Baby. That is right, it is coming up next week. Also, this week we shoved out some bonus content for all y'all out there with a little bit of a Goblin episode, Gobtober, as we well, I want to say me, I didn't, it was John's idea and that's what we stuck with and we put it out that way. And yes, it is a horrendous name, but by God, we will stick to our guns on that one and other content as well. This week coming, we have even more stuff for you to get through. So, as well as our delving into the 31 of October, of which you will have an update episode probably towards the end of next week, we're just continuing the good times, the good vibes, just powering through on these episodes. So hopefully you're enjoying them. We will try and bring back a little bit in reverence this month. We will try and continue the Andy Loves Art House series, as well as maybe see if we can swing back in with your selection out there, ladies and gents, for the Choose Your Own Horror Podcast Review adventure. So there's tons of shit going on right now, and that's not even taken into account that we're going to be sitting down with the folks from the People's Council of the Summer Teapots Top 10 series, revealing the official People's List, numbered and scored by you guys out there, the listeners, as well as interviewing some of those guys and getting their thoughts on the process behind the scenes, the stuff that you didn't see. And then on top of all that, a little Russian Roulette franchise retrospective on Wishmaster, all that coming up before the end of the month. Tons of content under the stairs. Right, we're going to take a very short break just now. You're going to hear promos for shows that I love. You're going to hear the trailer for Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. This is disc number 18 of the 88 Films Slasher Classics Collection. I'll be right back to discuss that movie right after this.
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, legionpodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
I know that in the next 3 days we'll get to know each other much better. When we all get together again, I promise it won't be the same.
Angela's back to slash last year's record. Last year's Camp Carnage was so much fun that Angela has decided to return for another season.
Whatever happened to Angela Baker?
Nobody knows.
When'd you learn to chop wood like that?
I've never chopped wood before, but I've chopped other things.
Those immoral young campers. When will they ever learn?
Nobody wants to go to a camp where everyone's been slaughtered. What's your favorite, color?
Blood red.
How many have you killed this time?
Lots.
Kill me too? How are you gonna do it? What's it gonna be?
A gun. Seems like every time I go to camp, somebody loses their head.
This year, camp's a real killer. Angela is seeing to that. Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland.
Party all night! Teenage Wasteland!
And welcome back. So you've just heard the trailer for disc number 18 of the 88 Films Slasher Classic Collection. This is Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland. This is what it says on the 88 Films website. The death and destruction continues in 1989's darkly comedic and thoroughly demented sequel, Sleepaway Camp 3. Once again turning as the righteous Angela Johnson, star Pamela Springsteen just cannot seem to keep away from summer camp carnage, this time going undercover as a teen refugee seeking some solace and understanding from a pleasant old backwoods retreat. Alas, when she finds only sexed up teens and party happy adults, her sense of virginal duty is called into action and she begins tidying up the trash. Using everything from a lawnmower to a firecracker to a gun, our wisecracking anti-heroine soon loses count of the corpses. Although a final homage to the most dangerous game gives her last survivors a sporting shot at making it out of the woods alive, released at the tail end of the slice and dice terror trope movement, a star and co-starring the great Michael J. Pollard of Bonnie and Clyde, Sleepaway Camp 3 is pure 80s mayhem and one of the most malevolent, macabre movies ever unleashed. Finally carving its way back to UK shelves, this is the HD horror sequel you've all been waiting for. On this disc, you have as special features Unhappy Campers, an interview with academic Michael Colvin, deleted scenes, the original trailer, Sleepaway Camp 2 trailer, the 88 Films trailer reel, and reversible sleeve featuring the original poster artwork. Technical specs for this one, region locked to B. The picture format is HD 1080p, 185.1. Audio format is LPCM mono. English language, certification 18. And this one is a breezy 79 minutes long. So, like the previous one, we have covered this movie last year when we did this as part of our Russian Roulette franchise retro, and whilst I made it clear I didn't think it was as good as the second one, which is a ton of fun, or the first movie, which is iconic, I still think there is kinda a lot to like about a movie like Sleepaway Camp 3. I think its heart is kinda in the right place, even though it is a lesser version. I mean, the story itself is absolutely fucking ludicrous. It is painfully obvious that Angela is wearing some sort of horrible Tina Turner wig, And yeah, the kills are even more batty than they were before. That being said, what I think Sleepaway Camp 3 does well is the fact that it completely understands that the bar has already been set to Goofy in the previous movie, and in order to really do anything in the way of a sequel to that, they just need to throw caution to the wind and fully embrace the nuts personality of not only Angela as a character, but the movie itself. I mean, this was infamously shot, I think it was pretty much back to back, if not at the same time as part 2. So you're really not missing a beat with this one. It was released a year later and they just shoved it out, which to me is a sensible way to do these sort of movies. You know, bulk record and then release them 1 a year. Why not? Your cast is all young. You've got everyone assembled there. It's kind of almost Corman era academics when it comes to how you cost finance these sort of productions, like a Jess Franco aesthetic when it comes to micromanaging production on movies. Kinda love that aspect of it. And there's a lot to dig about Sleepaway Camp 3 overall. I think the kills are creative and fun. I think, once again, Pamela Springsteen looks like she's having an absolute ball in the role. Some of the witty one-liners, I see witty and inverted commas which you can't see. Some of the witty one-liners don't always land with me. At times they get a bit too goofy. You know, you used to watch like an Arnie movie and you would just wait for it to stick around. You'd be like, right, I get that one, and then later on, you know, clone this, and you're like, no, Arnie, no, why would you do that, Arnie? I loved you, man. And you went away and said, clone this. No, that's not good enough. You're better than this. You're better than this, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's kind of where I am with some of the one-liners in this one. They're a bit too punny and a bit too tongue-in-cheek. The tongue's almost bursting through the cheek at how witty they actually think they are and how much they make me cringe. That being said, we have some great performances in here. I actually really enjoy the cast. And when you set up the kind of, if you make it up these woods by this time, you'll be alive sort of thing at the end, I kind of dig that as well. There's something kind of cool about them knowing entirely who this person is and are hunting them down over the different camps. I think that also gives it a little bit something cool as well. It's not set in your Camp Kimsler sort of aesthetic we've seen before. These ones are over lots of pockets of different little camps that they have, and the fact that she can play her own story the way she wants between each of the camps, I think works really, really, really well. I think it adds to it as well. You know, as stories go, this one maybe has a better story than part 2. It just doesn't have the same execution or quality. What was interesting when recording the Russian Roulette episode in this one was I was joined by Mike, and we kind of delved into a little bit of this and tried to work out what it was necessarily that didn't maybe stand the movie in good stead. And funnily enough, watching it this time around, I dug it a bit more than I did then. Back in the day, I gave it a 3. I'm probably at a 3.5 now, if I'm honest. I had a ball with this one. Granted, I'd had a fair few drinks by that point, and when sitting down and watching it, it maybe resonated a bit more goofily with me in my very cheery kind of drunk state. Is that safe to say? Probably. I think these movies tend to play better when you've got a few beers and you've got friends. So I think from that aspect it worked a bit better. The franchise goes off the rails after this, and it's difficult to talk about part 3 without really relaying that after this point part 4 is just a fucking mess. It's an absolute woeful movie. And then the part 5, which I didn't know existed until I started doing that retro, is not very good either. So in hindsight from those movies, part 3 actually comes across as a bit better than it necessarily is or should be, because of the massive drop this one takes. Because as a franchise, the first 3 parts are unique, fun, violent, and yeah, they're playful, and I think that suits what I want from a Sleepaway Camp movie. When they move away from that in parts 4 and 5, that's when the issues begin. So the fact that you still have that in here, you know, it makes me pine for a bit more of it, and watching it makes me enjoy it a bit more. That's not to say, like I said before, that it's flawless. There are a couple of acting choices here which aren't great. Some of the special effects at times are a bit cheap looking, and they were cheap, and that's why they look cheap. And the overall conclusion I don't necessarily think is all that great, but overall it's fun. Soundtrack's wicked, you've still got that kind of 80s kind of hair metal stuff going on, which I think really suits it. And as a last kind of swan song to the Pamela Springsteen portrayal of Angela, I think she does it really well. I really do. She is one of the better swap choices in a franchise that I can think of. We've tried it with other people and they've really succeeded. Pamela Springsteen fulfills the role, and that's nothing away from Felissa Rose, who I think is absolutely incredible. But I think Pamela Springsteen brings the right amount of goof, a bit of slapstick, and it works fully in the confines of the movie. So like I say, coming back to grade this one at 3.5. It was originally a 3 last year, it's now a 3.5. God knows where we'll end up in a couple of years' time when I revisit the movie again. But there you go, that's this one done. Nothing much more to say about it. It's a nice, simple, easy movie where you can't lean too much on cinematography or score or anything like that. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It is in fact a teenage wasteland, and that makes me happy. Right, 3.5 out of 5. I'm going to take my final break. When I come back, closing out the show, and I'm doing it right after this. And you've been listening to the podcast Under the Stairs. This has been your 88 film slasher classic collection. This number 18, Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. 3.5 for that movie, which brings up where we're going for this number 19, which is a movie I have never seen before, but the cover has me enticed completely. We will be turning our attention to this number 19, which is Scalps. According to the page, the 88 Films page for this one, it says, a cut above many 80s slasher classics. 1980's Scalps mixes splatter action with the supernatural when a group of college kids begin digging around an old Native American burial ground. We know that's not a good idea. Suffice to say, a spirit by the name of Black Claw was enjoying his sleep and does not react well to being disturbed. A slaughter-thon that serves up plenty of plasma spillage and teen trepanning set pieces. Scalps has been unavailable in the UK since the days of the rental shop, and as such, 88 Films is proud to bring back this low-budget terror totem in a terrific new director-approved HD scan that will surely have tribes of horror fans hollering in happiness. The special features on this one are a 2K scan from the original negatives with censored scenes restored via taped sources, a brand new audio commentary track with the director Fred Olen Ray. I already get a feeling I know what this movie's going to be like. Original 35mm theatrical trailer, remembering the Scalps' new 22-minute retrospective featurette with Richard Hench, Frank McDonald, Chris Olen Ray and Fred Olen Ray. Justin Kerswell on Scalps, a slasher expert's view. 88 Films trailer reel and reversible feature sleeve poster artwork shit. Technical specs, region locked to region B. The picture format is HD 1080p 1851. The audio format is LPCM stereo. Language is English. Certification 18. And this one is an hour and a half long. Yeah, you kind of know where you stand with Fred Olen Ray, so I kind of know where we're going with this one. But yeah, I've never seen it before. I know very little about it. I'm in. Do your worst to me, Scalps, because this collection has done, I guarantee, worse than what you're going to bring. I look forward to the challenge. There's a multitude of ways to check out podcasts Under the Stairs. As always, I say check us out on Apple Podcasts. Come across, subscribe to the feed. That way it shows as and when they drop. And if you leave us a rating and a review, it's the best way to support us on that platform. You can also check us out on Stitcher Smart Radio, SoundCloud, Google Play, TuneIn, and of course Spotify. Visit our website, it's teapotscast.com, and buy merch like posters and pins from teapotscast.bigcartel.com. You can visit us on Facebook if you want to join the other listeners in the group page chatting about the show and horror movies. It's facebook.com/groups/teapotscast. Alternatively, if you only want to know when the shows are dropping or occasionally check out a live stream like a Thursday, then that is facebook.com/teapotscast. You can interact with myself and the Baz on the twin prongs of social media sexiness, Instagram and Twitter. Both can be followed at TeapotsCast, and the join code for Flick Chat, that's right, The social media for podcasters and listeners, which is free on iOS and Android, is also TPutsCast. That's our join code over there. Join us. You can listen to the show directly through that app and post on our message boards for the individual movies that we cover and the individual segments that we run on this show. It's a great way to interact with us, and we are busy always checking what's happening over on Flick. The conversations finish when I hit stop here, but they continue over on that one, so download it and become part of our 130 strong members. It's a lot of members, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of members. I love it though, absolutely love it. Right, Podcast Under the Stairs will return to you, dear listener, tomorrow with Bazoween 2019, episode number 3, Baz Takes On. This one's been a long time coming, Rosemary's Baby. But until then, wherever you are, whatever the time zone is and whatever you're up to in this big bad world of ours, please take care of yourselves out there. This is Duncan McLeish broadcasting live from Under the Stairs, and I am signing off.